Hi everybody, happy Saturday. Today we are talking about creatine, and I've got some warnings about this because I'm seeing the daily recommendations going up, and so we need to really get a handle on this. So I'm gonna let you guys start coming on because more is not always more. You guys have multiple places you could be on a Saturday. I appreciate you being here. I could not let this go any further because I just got my blood work back. And what I found out from my blood work is that my DHT levels have shot through the roof. And the only thing that I can think of that I have been doing differently is creatine. And so I know, you guys, it's the information out there is so confusing. I just want to start with this. If you do not know what an abstract is on a scientific piece of research, you should not be quoting what the results are, right? If you can't get in and read what it is that they're talking about, what are the confounding variables, what is the further research that is needed, it's just this pseudoscience that I think has taken over social media, where this study says this, and this study says, 2.5 to 3 milligrams, or this study says 5 milligrams of creatine does this. Well, guess what 25 milligrams does? This study shows this. You guys, it takes a lot of money and a lot of timing and prep and backing to do scientific research. It is not done all the time. There is not people lined up to do all these studies are coming out daily. No. They're not. There's a lot of pseudoscience coming out, a lot of things where more research is needed, and that has a place. But when people are making conclusive, pointing to stuff as conclusive evidence that more creatine is going to help you, or that this definitely causes this, it's really detrimental to people that are watching. So let me just tell you how I go about adding a new supplement in. Creatine, you guys, has been around forever. Remember Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 80s? It's been around for a long time. It seems like it's new because it's on social media, but it's not new. Weightlifters have been using this for a very long time. The weird thing is everybody makes their own creatine. This isn't like some holy grail of stuff that we're getting that we can't make ourselves, or we're not getting in food that we are eating. So the fact that we even need to supplement it is complete bullshit. Not everybody needs to do it. And I want to show you some studies showing you that people who are healthy, who are younger, you are making enough creatine, you do not need to supplement, and it will reduce your own body's ability to make its own creatine. So that said, creatine is naturally occurring substance, and it's primarily found in our muscle tissue. It's made up of 3 amino acids. 3 amino acids. Remember, we make, there's 9 essential amino acids because those are the ones that we don't make. We make 11. So 9 of those essential we're getting from the foods that we're eating. So creatine naturally occurs in muscle tissue. It's glycine, arginine, and methionine. Those are the 3 amino acids. These amino acids are combined in the liver, kidneys, and pancreas to form creatine. You can also eat creatine-rich foods like eggs, seafood, dairy, meat. So our body makes creatine out of the foods that we are eating. It's stored in our muscle. It's quick energy, right? So if you're doing activities like weightlifting or sprinting and you want to be able to work out harder, that is where creatine comes into play. And the energy that is in our cells as we age, it starts to decline. So creatine can help that ATP production. It stores water it helps to store water in the muscles, which actually makes them work harder as well. So there's a lot of benefit to it, but here's the thing. There are studies that show, and I've heard this quoted so many times on social media, creatine helps to improve exercise performance. Check. Yes, it actually does. Increases muscle mass. It doesn't. It helps you work out harder, and then by working out harder, you are increasing your muscle mass. That's an indirect benefit, right? Enhanced bone density. Does taking creatine enhance your bone density? Not directly. It doesn't. By taking creatine, it's not going to your bones and making your bones stronger. Absolutely not. That's not how it works. How it works is if you are lifting weights, you are adding weight-bearing exercise to that bone is going to increase bone density. So creatine alone, without adding the weightlifting involved in that, is it increasing bone density? It is not. It is a secondary side effect. Potential cognitive and mood benefits. I want you to think about this and really kind of, yes, Justine, you can totally work with me one-on-one. All you have to do is you can go to my linked tree and click on that coaching. You can also just comment coaching on, not here, but on any post that I did. You can also comment stack, which will give you my entire supplement stack. But I want you guys to be very wary. You have to be your own best advocate and you have to be your own scientist, because nobody's going to be doing it for you. People are on social media to sell shit, right? Whether that's getting more followers that then increases your revenue, or whether that's selling you stuff that they get a piece of. There's reasons why it's a flawed system when we're trying to figure out how to live longer and to be as healthy as we possibly can. There is an ulterior motive to everything that's being done. And even those that try to help, those coaches out there, and I know you mean well and you really want to help. If you don't understand what a true scientific study is, you're regurgitating stuff that could potentially harm people. And that's why I just wanted to make sure when I got my blood work back and it showed that my DHT levels were elevated, I thought I've got to cancel what was gonna do this Saturday. I've got to at least talk about this, because elevated DHTs that can be caused from creatine can cause hair loss. So my women out there, my perimenopausal women who are already experiencing shedding, by adding creatine, and you'll hear all these things that creatine, I'll give you the whole list. This is what is on social media, okay? The whole list of what creatine can do. Now, remember, I just talked about this a couple of minutes ago. It's not directly, it's indirectly, and we need to put on our thinking caps to really be able to figure this out. So the whole list of what somebody could potentially say creatine does: improves cognitive function, exercise becomes easier, enhances bone health, counteracts tiredness, enhances exercise performance, enhances muscle recovery, increases muscle mass, helps prevent muscle loss during menopause, increase lean body mass, boosts endurance and power, has cognitive benefits. Creatine, look at this, creatine wards off falls. How is taking this increasing our balance, increasing our dexterity, increasing our muscle, and increasing our bones so that when we fall, we don't fracture? Creatine is not warding off falls. When used correctly and paired with resistance training, creatine can help with muscle mass. In helping with muscle mass, it then helps with your metabolism, because that ratio, right, that body composition. So that can help with a lot of different things, but it's not direct. It's not direct. Also boosts memory. You have to think about this. Is it really boosting memory, or is it in helping you work out harder, in creating more muscle mass compared to fat? So your body composition changes, your metabolic health increases, improves, and that also helps with memory. So, if you are somebody who is struggling with blood glucose levels, that can absolutely, it's called the third type of Alzheimer's, right? It can absolutely affect your memory. So all of these things combined, that's not what they're showing in the research, that it's a direct correlation or a direct cause of creatine boosts memory or creatine improves bone density. It is a series of events that happen when you take creatine and you pair it with certain things that increase a lot of different stuff. If we increase muscle mass, we're improving a lot of things, right? We're improving our metabolism. We are improving our bone density. We're improving like our mood. We're improving a lot of different things. The way that we metabolize sugars, like a lot of different things. There's even something out that says creatine helps smooth your skin. So now they're coming out with topical creatine that you put on your face. Remember, it's 3 amino acids. Not the best thing to do to put on your face. We can go over what we learned in the 7 days to look 10 years younger skincare webinar. Creatine is not on there in terms of putting that on your face, right? Neither is estrogen. So think about like, what is somebody trying to sell me? How is it really working? And what is the science behind it? And that doesn't mean that you're just listening to somebody saying, a new study came out that says creatine at 3 milligrams helps to improve muscle mass, and at 25 milligrams helps to reverse Alzheimer's. Like, it just doesn't work that way. And like I said, there's not new studies coming out daily. Scientific studies take research, it's usually backed by institutions. It takes money, right? Research money goes into that. It's time in planning it. They're strategic. That's why true independent studies, true experimental studies, that which has like, you're manipulating one variable, right? So manipulating one variable to see if there's a cause and effect, if it's statistically significant, because you can manipulate a variable and roll a dice and it might not, you might end up, oh, well, we got a little bit of an upsurge here. Maybe this is a causal. It depends on the sample size that you're testing. It depends on what are the confounding variables, all the other stuff that can be contributing. For example, that whole list on the internet of muscle mass, prevents muscle loss, increases lean muscle mass, boosts endurance, cognitive effects, wards off falls, boosts your memory, enhances bone health. All of that stuff are secondary effects to what the real thing that is happening, which is it enables you to work out harder. And when you work out harder, you will build more muscle mass. You will increase circulation because you're working out harder, which can also boost your mood and can also boost memory. So there's a lot of confounding variables that people are not talking about, right? So the gold standard is randomized controlled trials. That is where you have participants that are like randomly assigned to either a control group or the placebo group. The experimenter doesn't know which one is which, and neither do the subjects that are being tested. That is the gold standard, and you want a large sample size across a large population. That takes money. That takes money to do, you guys. That's not something that people are, let's just do a study on creatine. So you'll see a lot of things like peer-reviewed studies of like cross-sectional studies and case studies where they're taking other people's works and then they're trying to figure out, okay, let's just do a whole study of meta-analysis of like the systematic review of all of the different research on creatine. You'll see a lot of those things happening. And if you really get in there, you'll see that not a lot of them have a cause and effect that's definitive. Not a lot of them have things that they're saying is not like, oh, but more research is needed. And most of them are not showing a statistical difference. And so why is it that we're in this mentality of more is more is more? If 5 milligrams is great and helps me get a great workout, 25 milligrams must be fantastic. No, it doesn't work that way. And your body is different than mine, and it's different than your neighbors. It's different than the other people that you're seeing on social media, and you don't know how it's going to affect you. So I want to just quickly go over some safety stuff, right? Hold on one second. I want to go over some safety stuff because what I found was not anybody is really talking about that. And in fact, if you look up creatine and hair loss, they will point to a study that was never replicated that says, and it was done with a rugby team, and they put all of them on creatine to help them boost their performance. Obviously, they're professional athletes. And what they found is that they increased their DHT levels. And what that means is testosterone converts to DHT. And as we get older, it's more difficult for us to have we're having a pure testosterone and it's doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. Not only does our testosterone level dips, but the way that testosterone is utilized by our body across the lifespan changes with age. And so as you get older, your efficiency in using testosterone is different. That's why when you see male pattern baldness that happens, that is at a certain age. It's very rare to have that in your 20s, right? It's normally when you get a tiny bit older. It can start in your 20s, but mostly like 30s and things like that, where then your body stops having that pure form of testosterone and instead converts it to DHT. So the testosterone goes down, and the testosterone your body is making is more easily converted to DHT. DHT is what can cause hair loss in many, many people that have a genetic predisposition for hair loss. Well, guess what? By the time you're in your 80s, 80% of us have that genetic component for hair loss. 80%. I don't want to lose my hair at 57, and I don't want to lose my hair at 80. So we have to think about that. When you add a new supplement, like anything, it doesn't matter if it's like a pill that you're taking or a powder that you're sticking in a drink. You have to keep everything as still in your life as possible, right? Don't add creatine and then add rapamycin and then add NDA plus. Don't do all of this stuff at once, because you're not going to know what is really affecting you. When I started adding this, it was probably, I want to say 3 months ago. Since that time, I just recently did blood work. Now, there's lots of things that can make a difference between how you convert testosterone to DHT, which is that dihydrotestosterone. I probably said that wrong. But there's many different things. So stress, age, there's lots of different stuff, different medications that you could be on. And I did a whole thing on hair loss. You guys, I've been struggling with hair loss, I swear, since I came out of the womb. It's genetic in my family. It runs on both sides. Everybody in my family has super, super fine hair. I think I finally cracked the code on what are the multitude of different treatments that actually help regrow hair. And so I have made significant gains in the last couple years with red light therapy, with oral minoxidil, with scalpel massage, with lots of different stuff. But those are the main ones, right? And oral minoxidil, which is a vasodilator that brings blood to the scalp, has been a game changer for me. So has like the eye restore helmet that with red light therapy and lasers that helps to stimulate that type of hair follicle, to stimulate those stem cells to regrow. That said, there's lots of things that could damage that as well. If your thyroid hormone is either too high or too low, can cause hair loss. If you're on mass amounts of testosterone, which I'm not on mass amounts of testosterone, my testosterone hasn't changed in terms of my creams that I use for hormone replacement therapy for the last year and a half. That's why I know, okay, I didn't increase my testosterone. The way that my body is now converting testosterone to DHT has increased because of the one thing that I've added that's different. Now, granted, I added that at 2.5 to 3 milligrams a day. And I would say 5 days a week. So that's consistent. That's 5 to 6 days a week. That's pretty consistent. I was putting it in my workout thing of water. And even on the days, sometimes when I wasn't working out, my thing would already be made in the refrigerator. And so I would drink that throughout the day. That said, it's not necessarily the best way to take creatine, because it's best to take it when you are about to work out, before a workout, when you're working out, and right after, because that's what's going to help get that water in there, usually, honestly, if you do it before. So what I've been doing now is, I'm not going to stop it. I'm going to go back in for blood work again. But now the only time I'm taking it is like 2 to 3 times a week, 5 milligrams guzzled down. And I want to wait and see, does that bring the DHT levels down? So we're gonna wait and see before I completely eliminate it. And we're gonna wait and see if the hair loss and the DHT make an adjustment. I noticed a little bit more shedding, which is why I decided I need to go in and get some blood work done. If you start backing up the shower just a little bit, or your sink starts getting clogged, or you're noticing like a little bit of hair, more hair in your brush than normal. Now, you can comment hair loss on any post that I did. You can DM me the word hair loss, and it will get you that live show I did on hair loss with real solutions that work. What you don't want to do, you guys, is jeopardize the gains that you've made. So the second you start seeing any sort of negative side effect, and I'm going to go over them, but the second you start seeing any negative side effect with any supplement, get in for blood work. Get in for blood work, right? So 3-4 months I've been on this. Blood work happened. I just got the results back. DHT is through the roof, and this is the only thing that I've done differently. It doesn't mean that if your DHT goes up, the way that you convert testosterone to DHT changes, like we said. That could potentially still happen, but it doesn't mean that you're going to lose your hair. If you are genetically prone for male pattern baldness or female pattern baldness, which by the time we're 80, like I said, 80% of us, that's a lot of us. That's most of you here, okay? 80% of us are going to have female pattern baldness or male pattern baldness. So you have to weigh that into account of, it might not happen to me right now, but if I'm increasing DHT levels, which happened, at a significantly statistical significant difference in those rugby players of that study that I was telling you about, if it runs in your family, you could be experiencing hair loss. Julie, I'm not going to completely stop, but what I'm going to do, that's a good question. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to use it the way that I was using it, which is like, oh, it's just one of those things I add to my water bottle every day. No, it is one of those things that I am going to strategically. There's no flavor, you guys, no flavor, no color. It's a little tiny scoop. I'll show you what it looks like. This is a 5 milligram scoop. Okay, that's 5 milligrams. I have not been doing that. Why? Because I'm tiny. I'm 5'3", 105 pounds. I am tiny, okay? I still have muscle mass. I'm very lean, but I don't need the same amount as somebody who weighs 125 pounds, right? Or 150 pounds. I'm smaller than that. You have to make those adjustments, you guys. So what I would do is I was doing a half a scoop in a bottle of water. And I was doing this, almost every day because I work out almost every day. That said, some of the workouts that I do not need me to put extra energy in it. Lifting heavy is not the only path to longevity. There's multiple things that we need to do. And if you are only in the gym lifting as heavy as you can, 3 to 5 to 6 days a week, that is not the way that you are going to live as long as possible. Things like yoga, where it's not just your muscle mass that declines at the age of 30, but our joint mobility declines. Our balance declines, right? So if you're lifting weights heavy and you're balancing on one leg a lot, or you're doing single arm type of things that's helping with your core, those kind of things, or on a Bosu ball or on a vibration plate, and you're working out like that and you're lifting heavy, great. If not, you need to add that stuff. So I'm not lifting heavy every day, right? Mobility is key. Yes, nostalgic. Mobility is key because we not only want to have the muscles to be able to pick ourselves up off the ground, when we fall. We also want to have the bone density to not break anything when we fall, which is going to cause, we're going to need to lift heavy. But the balance in general, our balance in general plays tricks on us when we get older, right? There's lots of things, our hearing goes, there's lots of things that happen, and our balance is one of those. Working on balance is super important. Working on flexibility is super important, because I don't care how much muscle mass you have, if you are flat on your back at 90 years old, the muscle mass alone is not going to help you get up. You need to be able to have that mobility to where, can you put your leg up by where you need to get it up underneath you, right? There's different things that need to happen besides just muscle mass. So I'm not lifting heavy 5 days a week. I'm not lifting heavy 4 days a week. I'm probably lifting heavy, or I would say this, I'm lifting 2 to 3 days a week, and at least one of those is super heavy. That's it. What do we do for bone density? Bone density, you want to lift heavy. That's one of them. So you can wear a weighted vest, just add weight to you. Lifting heavy is one way to increase bone density. A K2D3 supplement with K2 as MK7. That's where you guys do not skimp on your supplements, and do not buy them from Amazon. I don't care if you trust the source or not. That's why my supplements are not on Amazon. And again, you can comment stack. I'll give you everything that I take. Just do your own research, okay? Your body's different than mine. But when we're talking about bone density, a K2D3 supplement is super important because it directs calcium. And what I mean is as MK7. K2 as MK7. K2D3 is not the same as K2 as MK7 plus D3. MK7 directs the calcium out of your arteries into your bone. If you're taking a calcium supplement, what you're doing is you're putting a nice shellac of, like, think of it like you're putting like, you know, you're putting like this putty on top of your bones that will help a little bit, yes, but it's not getting into the root cause. Yeah, comment stack, not here, but on any post that I did, or you can DM me that word. It'll send you a link. My little robot guy will send you a link, and that link will take you to Live Young Lifestyle, and you'll click on, you'll get the supplement stack that I think it gives you it directly, actually, but you can also get it through Live Young Lifestyle on the protocols. Toggle to that protocols in the menu bar, and then you can get that whole stack. Elisa says, is liquid creatine safe, and can we take it in shakes, not just water? It doesn't matter. If it's not about whether it's safe, whether it's liquid or whether it's powder. Yes, you can take it in water. That's not the issue. The issue is, do you need it? We know that scientific research shows that when you take creatine supplements, it diminishes your body's ability to make its own. That we know, but they do find that when you take that supplement away, your body goes back to making it itself. So yeah, it's not that it's safe or not safe. It depends on you and what you're dealing with. And I want to go over really quickly the safety stuff. So it's generally considered safe for most women, but you need to talk to your doctor, okay? Especially if you have underlying conditions or if you're taking medications. Water retention. Some people say, oh, I don't take creatine because it makes me bloated. That will subside, okay? Initially, you want the water in your muscle. That's what's going to give you more energy. So not only is creatine can be stored in the muscles, those three aminos can be stored in the muscle for those bursts of energy, but it also helps with water retention in the muscle, which makes your muscle stronger. So that's okay to have a little bit of water retention. You have to stay really well hydrated, and the dosage is important. 3 to 5 milligrams. It's gonna vary depending on what your needs are, okay? But more is not better. More is not better. I wanted to talk about some more of the warnings. There's a study in 2009 that I was talking about the rugby players, okay? And that's that dihydrotestosterone levels, the DHT, that became very elevated in these rugby players. And what that caused in those that had a predisposition for hair loss, You need to look at both your mom's side and your dad's side. You guys, hair loss is very complicated. Those that had the predisposition for hair loss lost hair. Now, you can still have elevated DHT and not lose hair. It just depends, but that also can change with your age. You can have elevated DHT in your 30s and it might not cause hair loss. You can have elevated DHTs in your 50s and all of a sudden your hair starts falling out. Pay attention to what you're taking. Don't take a bunch of stuff all at the same time. For those of you who are going to comment that word stack, don't buy everything on that list. Okay, start with the basics. A good multi that you're not buying at Costco, you're not buying on Amazon. They just came out with a lot of stuff, and this is why my products are not on Amazon. No matter if you go to that store of that, say we went to Thorne, this is by Thorne, say we went to Thorne on Amazon and we went to their particular store. We only ordered from them, not off the basic one, but we went, okay, let's make sure I'm getting the right source. When those Amazon workers who are overworked and underpaid, when those Amazon workers go to put your container into your box, they are not looking for the one that you chose. They're looking for the closest possible alternative. You know what I'm saying? So you cannot trust Amazon to send you supplements. I'm sorry, you guys, that's the world that we are living in, okay? So that said, in people genetically predisposed for either male pattern baldness or female pattern baldness, you have to make that decision. Is it worth the risk? Remember, we make creatine ourselves and we get it from the food that we eat. If you are eating eggs and dairy and fish and meat, you're having those aminos that is helping you make those creatine. Which brings me to an interesting point in that the ones that they have found have the biggest impact. I want to show you this study because it almost fooled me. The ones that they have found that have the biggest impact on cognitive function are vegetarians. Why? Because they're not eating dairy and meat and eggs. So when you look at some of these studies, the true scientific studies, those that have manipulated one thing, kept everything else the same, randomized control groups, the experimenter doesn't know which group is getting the placebo and which is getting the creatine. The people being tested don't know if they're getting a placebo or they're getting the creatine. That is a true scientific study. That is not, my friends, what is being quoted and pointed to in social media. It's just not. Everyone says that dairy is bad if we're perimenopausal and menopausal. Live, laugh, love in Oregon. I do not do dairy, and I haven't done dairy for a long time, and that's because it is often misdiagnosed for sensitivities. It can cause hormonal imbalances, and you'll see it show up in your face, especially around your chin area. So I don't do dairy. I eat ice cream, but I eat cashew milk ice cream. I don't do dairy because if you just think about it logically, and this is part of what I do and part of what I really want you guys to be able to do as well. Why are we depending on milk that is made by a cow for their baby? So think about the hormones that are in there. Think about all of the other stuff that is, and I'm not just talking about if you're lactose intolerable. Most of the world, especially in Asia, are all lactose intolerable. It should be a big sign for us that like, oh, maybe we shouldn't be having milk. I can go off on a tangent on that. Julie said, I started Thorne creatine, upped my dose to 5, and now seeing some hair loss. Julie, get off of it. I'm telling you, get off of it. I have all these other things in place, Julie, and listen, in a DM or on any post, go to any post. This is gonna go, you guys will get this if you want the full live show, you'll get it on Tuesday. Make sure you sign up for that newsletter. It's the easy way to do it because not only do I give you like my show notes, like what got me to this point, the deep dive that I did to get to where I can speak about this very confidently. And that is in the scientific literature, you guys. That is not through AI Google search. That is in there. But doing that, getting to that point, it's like you got to do the deep dive into it. And I have on several occasions done live shows on hair loss because it is devastating, not only for men. I don't want to say it's devastating for women. We are oftentimes, so tied to our hair. It's more common for men to lose their hair. I'm not saying men out there that it is not devastating, but for a woman to lose their hair it's traumatic. And when you see it coming out, either from your sinks being more clogged, or you see it like in your ponytail holder, it's really, really, it's really devastating. And that stress of losing hair causes more hair loss. So I have so many things in place in terms of oral minoxidil, red light therapy, my hormone replacement therapy, different things that I'm doing, my scalpel massage, microneedling my scalp, to where I'm going to try it in an abbreviated way before I stop, only on those 2 days where I'm in the gym lifting lots of weight. Those are the days that I'm going to do a 2.5 in just a glass of water. It's not going to be part of my daily anymore, but I need to test it out. So I'm scheduled to do more blood work next month. I'm not going to change anything else in my diet, but I'm going to see, does this only when I'm working out help me not only increase my workout, so it's going to help me push harder, it's going to help with muscle mass, but does it still keep those DHT levels elevated? Julie, you too. Yeah, so you've got all those things in place. Amazing. And like I said, I'm not planning on stopping it, but it has really been an eye-opener in terms of, wow, we really got to do more research before we just start putting stuff in our bodies, right? We do. Okay, so here's the thing about the DHT. There's lacking direct evidence, because you can show, like it showed in my blood work, my hormone doctor called me and she said, what is going on? Your DHT is through the roof. And that will cause hair loss. And my heart, like literally, I thought I almost threw up. I thought like, no, because I had noticed a little bit of it myself. That's why I went in for the blood work. I wasn't necessarily attributing it to creatine. And I do think that that's what it is. I think that that's what it caused. So what they're saying though, is there's no large scale clinical trials that demonstrate that creatine directly causes hair loss. And that most anecdotal reports have not established a clear causal relationship. Guess what? Most of all of the shit that they're quoting on social media, there's not a direct causal relationship, right? And so what we do know, because you can go A plus B equals C, okay, well then B plus A equals C. You can determine, and you can look through any research, elevated DHT levels in your blood can cause hair loss. Well, if creatine can cause elevated DHT levels, then elevated DHT levels can cause hair loss for those people who are predisposed for hair loss. So yeah, it's 2 steps away. It's not a direct cause, but come on. It's, if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck, right? Okay, hold on. Do you have an essential amino acids power? Somebody said pre-workout is useless. It's not. I don't believe it's on my supplement stack. I have 3 different things that I'm testing out, and I don't really want to go into that before I really know what I'm talking about with that. I'm somebody who is on a bit of a low protein diet, and that is for longevity. That is not for vanity and not trying to get the biggest muscles out there. That is for autophagy and for my body's ability to break down the damaged proteins that it already has at 57 years old. So I'd rather give up a tiny bit of muscle mass, eat a little bit less protein, and have my system working its ass off. literally. So that said, I want to do a little bit more research. I have 3 different amino acid powders that I'm fooling around with, and I want to see, I've already reached out to 2 of the companies to get their data and what research they're doing on it, and then I'm going to go from there. But that's a really good question. Yeah, because there are different ways to do that, right? Okay. Let me just make sure I'm scrolled up. Okay. That said, this is a good one because the question is hair loss from creatine permanent? And the only potential link is that increase in DHT. So you might have an increase in DHT and you're not susceptible for hair loss and you can keep your hair for now. We know that by the time we hit 80, almost everybody experiences genetic hair loss just from age. You know, that it just happens. And so that could increase. I don't want to wear a wig when I'm 80. You know, I'd like to not be able to do that. And I'd like to not have my scalp showing. So I really have to like sit back for a second and weigh those pros and cons. Now, if I had massive amounts of muscle wasting because I'm predominantly plant-based, I eat small amounts of meat. I call it microdosing my meat, but I eat small amounts of meat, predominant plant-based, and, you know, I take collagen, which is animal-based. There's multiple things that I do. I get a lot of protein through plants. You guys would be shocked at how much protein is in plants. And remember, we make our own amino acids. There is only 9 essential. We make the other 11. You don't need to have a perfect protein every meal. We make them ourselves if we would just let our bodies do what they're supposed to do. Excess protein gets stored as fat. It does not get stored in the muscle. I'm going to say that again. Excess protein does not get stored in your body to be used to build muscle. Excess protein gets stored as fat. Can it affect estrogen? Well, it's one of the things that they're saying, you know, it's good during hormones, during menopause, creatine is great during menopause, but I want to talk to you about what is it that is actually happening. So, like I said, we make it ourselves, but here's what the studies show. It can minimize, so we're going to talk about this when it says, make a big parentheses, particularly beneficial for women going through menopause. It won't affect your estrogen. So it's not going to influence your estrogen, but it could influence a lot of those symptoms that menopausal women have. Elisa, that's a great question. It doesn't affect estrogen directly, but it affects those symptoms that we have. The cognitive, you know, brain fog, the inability to stay on task, the muscle mass, the bone density, the mental clarity, all of that stuff can be affected in a good way with creatine, but it's not that direct pathway. And I want you to think of it as DHT, creatine increases DHT, DHT increases hair loss. It's kind of like that. Creatine increases your ability to work out and lift and strengthen your bones, increases bone density. So does creatine increase bone density? Not directly, and it's certainly not going to do that if you take this and then sit on your ass. That's why don't add it to like just your, you know, we're getting these big giant water bottles now, and we're just powder after powder after powder after powder. Stop. You don't know what it's doing to you, and you don't know what's going to cause your hair to fall out. And there's real consequences, you guys, not just hair loss. There's also studies, so yeah, it can, think about this, when we hit menopause, we lose our energy, we lose our muscle mass. It starts declining by our mid-30s, 1 to 3% a year. Our bone density starts going down. Cognitive and mood starts going down, right? The rate of anxiety and depression in midlife is through the roof, you guys. But we have to think about what is actually at play here, and what does the science actually tell us? And what it does not tell us is that by taking this, your mood is going to be boosted. No, you take this. If you took this and sat on the couch, your mood's going nowhere. If you took this and went and worked out harder than you have before because you all of a sudden have got these aminos that are stored in your muscle, more water in your muscle, and you're pushing heavier than you have before, you're doing slightly more reps, guess what? Your mood is going to increase. Why? Because exercise alone increases your mood. It decreases depression. It decreases anxiety. It boosts your mood from exercise, not from this, from what this allows your body to do. So putting this in your daily water bottle, if you are not lifting heavy, is not doing anything for you, and it could potentially be harming you. Say that again. Putting this without exercise, without weight training, into your daily water bottle is not doing anything for you in terms of muscle mass, in terms of bone density, in terms of cognitive clarity, in terms of mood. It's not doing anything for you if you're going and sitting your ass on the couch. If you're putting this in your water prior to lifting, prior to doing intense workout, and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna get it today. I wanna get it today. Let me put 2.5 milligrams or 5 milligrams in here. I'm gonna down it. I'm gonna go lift. Then all of those things are gonna improve, right? Your mental clarity improves, depression goes down, anxiety goes down, bone density increases, muscle mass increases. It's what it allows your body to do, not what this magic powder does by itself. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay. So it's always these two steps, right? Enhanced bone density, potential cognitive and mood benefits. Why? Sarah's late. She said, I'm late to this live. How much protein should we have? Thank you so much. The RDA is 0.35 grams per pound body weight. That we are now, if you listen to social media, we're on 3 times that amount. Guess what? That stuff is stored as fat. So all those powders, all that stuff that you're putting, a protein smoothie, a protein bar, a protein this, I just worked out, I need to eat 5 chicken breasts, that is getting stored as fat if your muscle doesn't need it. So it's very, very minute that when you say, I'm eating protein so that my muscle doesn't disappear. That's very minute. You still have to activate that muscle. So Nostalgic says, yes, but creatine you have to load and then maybe back off, right? You don't have to load. You'll notice a difference. That is like, if you're Arnold Schwarzenegger, okay. If you're a normal person who just wants to live longer and you're like trying to kick ass in your workouts and you're not wanting to lose your muscle mass, you're not wanting your bone density to go in the toilet in midlife, you don't need it like that. You do it right before you lift heavy. You're going to get those benefits without some of the long-term stuff. So, right? So there's numerous studies about muscle mass when combined with resistance training to help women build muscle and reduce fat. Creatine does not help you reduce fat. It doesn't. But can it change your body composition if you use it before a workout and you're able to work out harder and build more muscle mass? Yes. Yeah, it can. Again, think DHT doesn't cause hair loss, but creatine causes DHT to increase, which can cause hair loss. It's these steps, right? Should we take it every day and for how long creatine? It depends on you. If you are somebody that suffers from hair loss genetically, it runs in your family, you really need to keep an eye on it because it has been known to increase DHT, which can cause hair loss. It increased my DHT. And I am all over hair loss tips, you guys, because I don't want to lose my hair. And I stress shed and I have lost hair. It is genetic in my family. So when I started seeing that, immediately I got in, and sure enough, my DHT level is through the roof, and I've only changed one thing. I'm predisposed. If you're predisposed, you need to be careful. And predisposed, you guys, can be anything from like, you're just a midlife woman and your hair is shedding. If your hair is shedding, you have to really be careful. So I would not do this every day. And maybe new science will come out. There's, like I said in the beginning, scientific studies are difficult to do. They are costly. They need backing from universities. They're timely. right? It costs, it's time and money and people to have to do that, right? So Julie says, where on your blood work do we find DHT? You have to request it. And that would be from a hormone doctor, okay? I have 100 biomarker blood work and can't find, you have to request it, Julie. I know, I don't know why they just don't do it. But you have to request to have those levels. So my hormone doctor, I just had all my vitamin levels checked, all like a bunch of different stuff checked. And then I called my hormone doctor and I said, you want to add on to this? Add on now. So we tested a bunch of different stuff. DHT level was one of them and it's through the roof. And the last time I had tested it was 3 or 4 months ago and it wasn't. You got to be your own scientist, you guys. You got to be your own scientist, especially we're so inundated with all this shit on social media of stuff we need to add. Don't add anything until you've got your foundation set, right? Which is a great bioavailable multivitamin, which is a K2 as MK7 plus D3, which is a really pure fish oil for your cardiovascular health, which is a great magnesium that crosses the blood-brain barrier. Those 4 things, non-negotiable, before you even think about doing that. This is gonna do you no good if you don't have your foundation right. Magnesium, you have to request to, Creative Eye Candy, and most of us are deficient in magnesium, and that has to do with soil depletion and the way that our food is made now. It's crazy, but our food is not made the same as when we were younger. So, remember those Flintstone vitamins that we would take, and then they went through this whole thing of like, you're just paying for expensive pee, and it's just, you don't need it. If your body doesn't need it, it's gonna excrete it. That's true, but the way our foods are made now, almost everybody needs a multi. What blood work should you ask for? A full hormonal panel, including testosterone, estrogen, DHEA, DHT, there's a full thyroid panel and not just your TSH. It needs to be a T3, reverse T3, T4, Hashimoto's, but hormone doctor. That's from a hormone doctor, okay? So if your regular doctor is not a hormone doctor, you can ask your OBGYN, but you want a full hormone panel, and that is and you can request in my name a DHT. Okay, so let's just talk about this. Research, there's lots of research that says there's novel treatment. So it means minimal, not statistically significant, novel treatment for muscle wasting. So don't take creatine passively. Don't take this and sit your ass on the couch. It's doing nothing for you but taxing your kidneys, potentially causing hair loss, and a lot of other things. You need to take this as if it's like, I can't seem to get motivated to lift heavy or to really push myself in a workout. How do I do that? Ta-da! Only then. Live, laugh, love, and Oregon said, oh my gosh, I can't keep up, LOL. That's why join the newsletter. Join the newsletter, because then you not only get my whole show notes of what got me here to in the first place, but you also get a recording of this. I used to record these and then immediately post it to my Instagram live. You guys, I don't follow any of this algorithm shit. So every time I would post like a big, long 1-hour live show, I lost people. Because think about it. You've got these 15-second things. We can now only, absorb information in these little tiny bite-sized amounts. But we've got all of this 15-second, 10-second, maybe a minute coming, and then all of a sudden it's like, here's Darnell talking for an hour. Unfollow. So instead, what I started doing is I started recording these, saving them, and then they go in the newsletter. So you can rewatch them at your own time, at your own speed. It gives you links to things that I've talked about. And it gives you you can either read it or you can listen to it. So I give you those. How do you get to the newsletter? On my main profile, you can go to liveyounglifestyle.com, liveyounglifestyle.com. You'll see that pop up. You can join it that way. You can also go to my linked tree, which is in my bio on Instagram, and click on that, and you'll see the thing go down. And you'll say, oh, get your ultimate skincare routine by subscribing to the email list. Click on that. You're going to want that anyways. Do I have recorded sessions on peptides? I do. I had Natalie Nidham on here. We talked about peptides. Creative Eye Candy said, I saw palmetto and rosemary extract help lower DHT. That is true. You can also go on finasteride. I know that finasteride is mostly prescribed for men, but if you have high levels of DHT, it does not hurt a woman to go on finasteride, otherwise known as Propecia, and that can help block the DHT receptors, those androgen receptors, from causing hair loss. But yes, I personally don't like rubbing, rosemary extract into my scalp. I feel like there's better ways to get things orally than rubbing things in the scalp, although OneSkin makes a peptide now and a microneedling tool. And microneedling, if you can microneedle things into your scalp, Creative Eye Candy, if you can microneedle that into your scalp just by stamping, you might get a better result. But for me, my hair is so fine. Anything that I apply topically, it's like, oh, now I feel like I gotta wash my hair. If that makes sense. You're so welcome, Carmen. Okay, so let's just keep going. So a study in Strength and Conditioning Journal found that women benefit more than men when it comes to performance and athletic improvements while supplementing with creatine. So we tend to benefit a little bit more than men. And that women who supplement their workouts with creatine could exercise longer and didn't get tired as quickly. That is true. I absolutely noticed that. And in fact, my son, who we're celebrating his birthday today, he's 28, one of my 3 kids. I've got a 30-year-old, a 28, and a 25-year-old. But my 28-year-old boy, we're celebrating his birthday, and he comes over and works out in my gym here, and he said, Mama, I've never tried creatine. Can I try it? And I gave him a scoop of this in a thing of water, and he came in and he said, oh my God. He said, I pushed like 5 reps more than I normally did and went up by 5 pounds on everything. It works, but you got to take it like that. You mix it, you drink it, you go work your ass off. You don't mix it, drink it, and go sit down, or just add it into your daily thing. If you are on a mission, you're going to work out, you're in your exercise clothes, you're ready to go, you want to freaking kill it in the gym today, this will help. That said, it's only on those days that I think makes a difference. Okay, mitigating sleep. Well, first let's talk about this for 1 second. Creatine, this was in another study. Creatine also activates cells responsible for bone formation and reabsorption, supporting the production of new healthy bone tissue. How is it doing that? We need to think about that, because there's multiple studies where there are real, true scientific studies that show absolutely no effect on that. It has to do with how are you exercising. The way that you put weight on your bones is going to increase your bone density. So you got to think about it when it's combined with resistance training. Cognitive and mood effects. Some research indicates that creatine may boost cognitive function, memory, and even help with mood swings, especially during menopause. I've heard this regurgitated all over social media. Learn to think critically. Learn to think critically. How? If it's increasing your exercise, it's going to boost your mood, right? If it's increasing your exercise, which is increasing your blood flow, it's going to increase your memory. If it's increasing think about that. Exercise, we know by moving your body, it helps with a lot of stuff. It helps with mood swings. It helps with depression. It helps with anxiety just by moving your body. Do we take the creatine with other workout powders? Here's where you got to really get your magnifying glass out. Live, laugh, love in Oregon. I love that handle, by the way. You've got to get that magnifying glass out and look at the ingredients, right? On your pre-workouts, on your workout powders. And if it has creatine in it, don't double up on it. Think about it, right? What am I adding? What am I adding? And then you got to really start looking at the supplement facts box, you guys, okay? A generally safe amount is between 2.5 and 5. That's not what we are hearing on social media these days, right? It's just not. In fact, one of the big ones that I'm hearing is mitigating sleep deprivation. I'm just going to read you. This is according to Natural Womanhood. And again, these are not scientific studies, but people are quoting them all the time. Creatine can help combat the negative effects of sleep deprivation by increasing alertness and improving cognitive function, which is particularly useful for new mothers experiencing sleep deprivation. I'm not gonna say much about that other than, yes, it's gonna help because you're getting those aminos into the muscle. We know, young moms, you are not laying on the couch with bonbons watching, reruns of Friends. You are busy. You are moving. You are picking up babies. You are sleep deprived, right? You went from like one extreme to the other. Trying to take care of yourself. New moms, that is like, and I know because I've done it. It's tough. It's tough. So can it help new moms who are sleep deprived to gain that energy that they need? Yes. That said, you don't need 25 grams of it. Little at a time. Everybody's body is different. Hormone balance. Other studies show creatine can help support hormone balance, especially during periods of fluctuating sex hormones like estrogen and progesterone. This does not take the place of hormone replacement therapy. It is indirect. Think DHT, think creatine increases DHT, which can cause hair loss, right? So creatine helps us work out more, which increases muscle mass, which helps with metabolism, which helps with mood, which helps us sleep, which helps lots of stuff, right? Insulin, it improves insulin-like growth factor. So our insulin levels, how our insulin works declines with age. It can improve insulin-like growth factor production by supporting muscle maintenance. Think about that. It's not directly improving your insulin and your blood glucose level, but what it's doing is it's changing your body composition by allowing you to put on that lean muscle mass, which helps in that whole body composition of how your metabolism works and how you can regulate your blood sugar level. It's indirect. It's indirect. The same with increased bone density, which we talked about. Again, we went through that whole long list. That is a Google AI list. Improves cognitive function. It's not directly. It makes exercise easier. That it does do. Enhances bone health. Not directly. Counteracts tiredness. Not really directly, but there are some studies about that really, really sleep deprived. Because again, you're getting energy into the muscle, and new moms don't really get to lay down a lot and take, afternoon naps unless you're napping with your children, but otherwise you are busy. So adding that to be able to have the energy in your muscle, yeah, that makes sense to me. Enhanced muscle recovery, yes. Muscle mass, yes. If you are pairing it with resistance training, helps prevent muscle loss during menopause. Not unless you're doing resistance training. Boost endurance and power during exercise, yes. Cognitive benefits, very unclear. Very unclear. More research is needed. So there's a lot. Does creatine wards off falls? How is taking this gonna ward off a fall? It doesn't. It doesn't make you more balanced. It doesn't instantly make it doesn't. But over time, with that more muscle mass, with being able to work out more, yes, that makes sense. The more muscle mass you have, the more coordinated you are, the more you're going to stay on your feet. Your reaction time is going to be better when you've got more muscle fiber. Does that make sense? But to say that creatine wards off falls, that is a big stretch, my friends. That's a big stretch. Improves blood sugar level. How? It's that fat to muscle ratio, which when you take it, lift weights, you're going to improve that fat to muscle ratio. Smooth skin, no idea. That is it. That is the biggest stretch that I've ever seen. But I'm telling you, you're going to see creatine for topical skincare. I want you to immediately think bullshit. Think it. Bullshit. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. No. Same with estrogen creams on your face, you guys. Bullshit. Yeah, can it help? You have estrogen receptors everywhere. If you're in hormonal decline, Can putting estrogen like on your hands or on your face help with like, you know, getting back that plumpness? Yes, but you know what? There's so many other better ingredients. Don't fall into the fads and the crap that is just regurgitated on social media. Does that make sense, everybody? Zippy, that's great. Zippy, can you put in the comment section, Zippy Kona, can you put in the comment section which amino acids your doctor recommended? Because I'm researching a bunch of them right now, and especially being on a low protein diet and being predominantly plant-based, I want to make sure that before I say what my recommendation is, I'm not just going to spit out anything, you guys. And I used to be in my youth that guinea pig for everything. There's a new laser, sign me up. There's a new supplement, sign me up. There's a new, on and on and on and on again. That's what I did, but that is not the smart way. That's not the smart way. So we need to do a little bit of research. Zippy, I'd love to know what your doctor recommended. And for those of you who don't belong to those Live Young, that club, that Live Young Insiders, it's not a club. There's the Instagram club that has that exclusive content where I microneedle my face and a radio frequency, and I really show you guys how to use those at-home gadgets and answer all questions in 24 hours. That's Instagram club. The other one that's on my profile is Live Young Insiders. Zippy, if you can't, doesn't cost you anything. If you can add that, a link to what your doctor recommends in that Live Young Insiders, that would be great, because I'd love to check that out myself. Okay. How do you feel about collagen powders? Powders are not as, you guys, hold on 1 second. 1 second. Collagen powders do not have the same amount of absorbency as like a liquid. This is the best one that I have found on the market. I've been using it for years. Modere was bought out by Shaq Lee. You can comment collagen on any post that I did, and it will get you a link to be able to get your discount. There's lots of different discounts. I think they had a big sale, but it just now ended. Collagen powders, I mean, listen, if you're gonna use them, great. It might not be that your body is able to fully absorb them. Collagen molecules are very big, so you need to have them hydrolyzed. They need to be broken apart for you to be able to digest them fully. There's so much research on this one that it's insane. And in fact, a lot of the collagen powders and a lot of collagen different companies cite the research done by this brand, independent, peer-reviewed research by this brand on the effects of collagen as if it's their research, as if it's supporting what their product does. There's so much research. It's research by a company that's been doing it for a long time. So I always like a liquid. I take literally a tablespoon of this in the morning or after my workout really, and a tablespoon in the evening. And I notice a difference right away. Hair, skin, nails, it's not only that, but it's hair, skin, nails, it supports your collagen content, reduces wrinkles inside and out, all of that, but joints, your bones. When I run out of this, I start getting that pain in my thumb, which is part of aging, right? We get like sore hands. It makes a big difference. So I hope that answers the question. I know if somebody lives in Canada, I know that there was somebody that, I like Perfect Aminos, Lisa. Okay, great. Perfect Aminos. Oh my God. Lisa, if you can put that, my brain, I can't even begin to tell you all the stuff that's in my brain right now. I'm going to try to remember that. Aminos, perfect. It's the perfect amino. Okay, I'm going to try to remember. But if you can also, Lisa, put that in the Live Young Insiders, that would be great, along with the other person who I just forgot about, who was going to give us what their doctor recommended. Zippy, if you could kindly. Zippy says, I think Thorn is what the doctor uses for muscle gain. I'm on 9 weeks testosterone HRT cream, bad water retention. How much are you taking? How many days are you taking it? Yeah, and I would go in for blood work, Zippy, to make sure it's not going to cause your hair to fall out. That's not good. Does your Modere have Fortibone? I don't know what Fortibone is. That is probably, Julie, something that's coined It seems like a term that's coined by whatever brand that your collagen is trying to say, oh, this makes your bones stronger. Collagen makes your bones stronger. Yeah, but it doesn't work the way that you think it does either, right? So it's, yes, there can be minimal gains with collagen, just like minimal, not really tons of gains if you're taking this and sitting your ass on the couch. It's the same thing with collagen, right? Like when the way that I kind of use this is, yes, it helps with workouts and keeping that flexibility and all of that stuff. But when I'm doing like a microneedling on my face, I'm stimulating collagen by sticking needles in it. Anytime you cut yourself or you do a microneedling treatment, you're stimulating collagen production. I'm giving it the precursors. So I'm literally directing what I want that collagen to do. It's very different. And then I, of course, pair it up with my hair, skin, and nails from my Live Young brand. You guys can always just comment the word stack on any post that I've done, and then check your DMs. The robot will send you the link directly to that. Okay, so here we go. Safety. It's generally safe at under 5 milligrams. Water retention, it subsides. Hydration is key. 3 to 5 milligrams, optimal dose. More is not better, you guys. And then there was a big thing that I wanted to talk about on, This is the problem, I think, with the pseudoscience that is going on today in social media. Everybody wants science-backed, evidence-based, all of that stuff. Again, if you do not know what an abstract is or statistical difference, don't quote scientific research, because it's just confusing people. It's perpetuating things that have not been proven. It's putting people in danger. And let me just give you an idea. This was a research that I started to look up. This says oral creatine monohydrate supplementation improves brain performance. So this is me trying to figure out, I wonder if this could help my mom who suffers from Alzheimer's, right? I wonder if the memory, if it can really help. Like, let me look and see a double, I wanted to find a double-blind placebo-controlled crossover trial. I wanted to get in there. Here's the abstract. Creatine supplementation is a widespread use to enhance sport fitness performance and has been trialed successfully in the treatment of neurological, neuromuscular, and atherosclerotic disease. Creatine plays a pivotal role in brain energy homeostasis, being a temporal and spatial buffer for cystotic and mitochondrial pools in the cellular energy currency, adenosine, triphosphate, blah, 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 blah. Okay? So here it is. In this work, halfway down the abstract, in this work, in this current study, we tested the hypothesis that oral creatine supplementation, 5 grams a day for 6 weeks, would enhance intelligence test scores and working memory performance in 45 young adult vegetarian subjects in a double-blind placebo-controlled study. They're testing vegetarian subjects because vegetarians are not eating the foods like meat, dairy, fish, eggs that have our body create creatine itself. So of course they're going to be depleted by this. So then you add in those 3 amino acids that consist of creatine, and of course it's going to help their memory go up. Does that make sense? But you don't get to that on the title. You only get to that down here halfway through the abstract. They're not testing it on menopausal women who are, think that they are eating a healthy diet, but they're not necessarily vegetarian. They're not testing it on that. They're testing it on vegetarians, 45 years adult. And so automatically there's going to be a dramatic and significant role. So this says on both working memory, both tasks that require speed and processing. These findings underlie a dynamic and significant role of brain energy capacity in influencing brain performance. It increases the energy in the brain, yes, but not in people who are not vegetarian and who are younger. So in older adults, when our creatine supplies and our ability to make it start diminishing, that's not at 57, that's older adults, much older than that. And if you're vegetarian. So that could make a difference, but you got to really be able to understand what a scientific experiment is and what is conclusive about it. Does it make sense, you guys? Okay. There's lots of other stuff that can go wrong as well in terms of your kidneys. If you are pre-diabetic, if your kidneys are already in, in bad shape, no, just no, just don't, no. Okay, so I already talked about that. Gastrointestinal issues. If you're taking too much creatine, you can have stomach cramps, bloating, diarrhea, nausea. That's a sign. Kidney stress. Creatine affects the kidney function among people with pre-existing kidney conditions. If you're pre-diabetic, you're diabetic, you're already having kidney issues. If you are somebody that your blood sugar level is out of control, if you are on, a weight loss shot for being pre-diabetic, don't do it. Don't do it. Muscle cramps, water retention may cause shifts in electrolytes because it is having water stay in those muscles. So potential liver issues. Taking high doses of creatine in the long term have raised concerns about liver function. It's not really with people, it says, though no strong evidence links it to liver damage in people who have no health concerns. Get your liver enzymes tested. Increased risk of injury, which I've never heard about this, but rapid increases in muscle mass from creatine may lead to imbalances between muscle strength and tendon durability. That makes sense, doesn't it? So it's increasing the risk of strains or injuries if we have the energy to do it and our muscle is growing and our tendons and ligaments and connective tissue have not caught up yet. And it can suppress your ability's natural production of creatine. Now they say that when you stop supplementing, your body will continue to make it. That said, I would recommend it more for people who are vegetarians to do it consistently because you're going to get your amino acids. But again, you're getting those amino acids from animal-based stuff. Mood and behavioral changes. We talked about this as well in terms of it could improve your mood. But it's like 2 steps away. Is it increasing your muscle mass so you're working out more? It's increasing your circulation, which is boosting your mood. All these things are true. So in summary, you guys, I'm not saying if you take creatine, you're going to go bald. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying you've got to weigh the risks. You got to know what the risks are. You got to weigh them. You've got to do a little bit of research. You've got to be your own scientist. Start looking for cues. Is my stomach upset all the time? Am I losing hair? If I have pre-existing conditions, no. And always, always, always talk to your doctor first. I'm not a doctor, I'm a gerontologist. I know a lot of people are here because of skincare that I talk about, because at 57, I biohack my skin, just like I biohack everything else. I biohack my muscles, I biohack my gut microbiome, I'm biohacking my brain, I'm biohacking my bone density. I use science in a way that is going to help me live longer and feel and function and yes, look my best while doing it. That's my jam. That's what I do. A lot of people come here for skin. That's not my formal training. I am a certified holistic nutritionist and health coach. I have a master's in psychology, which helps me as a coach. But I have a master's in gerontology, which is literally the study of aging. I help people age better, live longer, extend their health span, those number of healthy years. That's what I do. If you like what you've seen, please share me with your friends. You guys, I lose followers all the time because I don't always say what's going to get me the most likes. I say what's going to help people, right? And when I saw my DHT levels skyrocket, I thought, I gotta go say something, because if you've seen the lives that I've done on hair loss, you can lose it just as easily as you can gain it, and this is a real risk that you will be taking if you are genetically prone for hair loss. So, okay, sign up for that newsletter, you guys. The full video will be it's always in the Tuesday after the live. So on Tuesday, you'll get a replay this. You can speed it up. listen to me while you're getting ready or whatever, multitask, do your thing, but you'll also get a written version as well. Okay, you can comment collagen on any post to get the best collagen in the world, literally. You can comment stack on any post. It will get you the long list of supplements that I take, including my own line. And join that Live Young Insiders. And I'll see you again on Saturday with content in between, of course. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.